I just want to say, if I could say anything to the church and its leaders, I don't want you to be bullied into anything. I don't want what the organization, whoever did this, whoever made the fake site, they were wrong. But I want them to know, President Nelson, people are suffering. People's spirituality, people's relationship with God are suffering. We belong to a church that sealed a woman, Jane Elizabeth Manning James, as an eternal slave to Joseph Smith. The world didn't do that. The NAACP did not do that. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints did it. And that has to be spoken to. We're having a worldwide celebration and saying that we're going to be one. And we're not one. And we're not doing the things that make us become one. Elijah Abel, the first Black 70 that was ordained in the time of Joseph Smith, he's currently not even included in the church's celebration because we're still waiting for approval to see if we can say that this Black man had the priesthood. How is that us being one? We don't want to acknowledge the people that were here. Those things are real things. Those things the world did not do. Those things we can speak to. Those things can bring healing if they are addressed. Those things, you cannot tell me that it was right to seal a woman who had never in her life been a slave as an eternal servant to a prophet of God. That's not right. And those are things that we did as a body of Christ, and that those are in our wheelhouse. I don't expect the church to solve racism in the world. I mean, I expect the gospel and people with the gospel, it should be changing us. And then when we go out into the world, we should make a difference in our homes and in our communities because the gospel of Jesus Christ has changed us. But there are things that have happened that are traumatizing things that people are still dealing with today. And they're just being ignored and they're not being spoken to and they're being covered up, and that is trauma. And people are begging for the church that they know that God led them to, that houses the restored gospel of Jesus Christ, to address these things so their testimonies can breathe and live. And this doesn't do that. The NAACP, you know what happens? They get on a plane on Sunday and they go home and they go back to whatever church they came from with people that look like them, that speak to their pains. They don't worship with me. They are not members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And while the NAACP may cause a blackout in Salt Lake City today, that blackout is not indicative of what I experience every day in my real life as a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Yesterday, I got a message telling me that the church wants Black people to show up to music and the spoken word because the NAACP is going to be there. And to be quite frank, I've been asked to show up at things where there's going to be a Black presence my whole existence in the church. But yesterday, it felt like tokenism. Because why? Why should I show up to go there and so that in front of the NAACP we can look more diverse? Music and the spoken word is not organically diverse. Salt Lake City is where music and the spoken word is. So just because the NAACP is there, a whole bunch of Black people are being asked to show up. And then guess what? We're not going to be asked the following Sunday and the Sunday after that. And even if we all show up there and we get to be with other people that look like us, all of the NAACP is getting on a plane and, like I said, going home. And they're not here. The NAACP doesn't sit in classes and get told that they're cursed, which I got told in 2017 in a class, in a Relief Society class and taught by a teacher. So to me, I understand that the church needs to meet with leaders of organizations, and that's part of the way that they educate themselves and they find out that I'm not mad, I'm not upset that the church meets with the NAACP. We need to be doing things like that. But our efforts of doing things like that, whatever the NAACP told them, I don't know what they said in the meeting, but what they said in the meeting and what they taught our leaders should be then reflected in our body. That's what it should be used at. They should be learning the things that they need to know to then come in and to use those things to heal people in their own organization and to address things in their own organization. I just don't understand how we think we're going to be at the forefront of healing racism in the world when we have not healed it in our own body. And you're asking people who are still burdened and still experiencing trauma in their own church community to engage in days of service. And I'm supposed to go out in the community and it says they're putting together an effort of service. You want me to serve when the place I'm supposed to come to have the edification that gives me the energy to go out and serve in my community. This is a place that's riddled with racism. And when I say riddled with racism, I do not mean that I'm experiencing racism at the hands of my local congregation on a regular basis. What I mean that is that we have a history that we're not dealing with, and that history is causing trauma for all of its members. And if you're not one of the people traumatized by the history, God bless you. I'm talking about the people that are. Those people are traumatized here, and we're trying our best to engage in our faith community and to do the things that we need to do to address those things and to heal people so that then we can be a benefit to our communities. We can't go out and serve on a day of service when we have not even learned how to do that in our body of Christ. And so, I don't like the idea of, making the having a whole bunch of Black people present for the NAACP when that's not what we really look like. Let the NAACP go sit in a regular ward. Let them go see the Black child with adopted parents that is the only Black child in their ward, and let them see our real. That's what they should see, the real us. The real us is people all over this country in particular. I'm not talking about Africa or Brazil or, South America. I'm talking about here in the United States, where for the most part, Black members do not worship with each other. And that's our reality. And that's what, if the NAACP is going to take a peek in at the church, they should see the real church. And it shouldn't be an effort of making us look Blacker or more diverse than we really are. The truth is, music in the spoken word is not diverse unless it is intentionally done that way. If the church wants Black people to show up at music in the spoken word, we need to do things that organically draw people of color to music in the spoken word. Don't ask us to show up on a special day for photo optics for the NAACP. It's not fair. And it certainly, I have less tolerance for it coming on the heels of something like this, and having my friends, my family of all I have people who are not members of our church that sent me this. And I have not even had the guts yet to tell them that it's fake, because I was waiting for the real thing so I could say, hey, this is the fake one, but here's the real one our church did. And I'm gonna have, when I get off of here, I'm gonna have to send it to them, but I don't even know what I'm sending them. I'm sending them a call for civility that says that we want our members to engage in humanitarian welfare services, pioneering work in higher education, and promoting the dignity of all people as children of God. And that's a great work for us to engage in, but that doesn't specifically speak to any of the things that are stunting us doing that. We've already been called to do this as members of the Church of Jesus Christ. This is our baptismal covenant. We know we're supposed to be doing this. This is not new news to us, but how we engage in that and how we do that, that's what we've been looking for. And I know that this is not the end of President Nelson speaking. I know he'll speak to more of this, but this right now is not. I don't want to send this to my friends. I really don't. I just wish it wasn't so hard to be in the place that God asked you to be. And I know that a lot of people out there, that they're tired. There's a Negro spiritual, and it says, I don't feel no ways tired. I've come too far from where I've started from. Nobody told me the road would be easy, but I don't believe God brought me this far to leave me. I just can't give up now. That's how it starts. I just can't give up now. I've come too far from, and I can't even sing it today. I really can't, because I'm so tired. I do feel tired. I do feel weak. I do feel weary. I do feel worn. And it's true. Nobody told me the road would be easy. And I don't believe that God brought me this far to leave me. And because of that, it's not God. I'm not angry at God. I'm not hurt by God. God never told me I was cursed. God never told me that I was less than. God never said that I was less valiant in the pre-existence. You know, church leaders said those things. God never said that to me. And it is only because I know that God never said that to me or to you that I can even labor in the vineyards that he has put me in. And I want to tell people that if the desire is to make all of these things be of God, you will break people. Because the only thing that keeps us here is knowing that the things that are damaging and traumatizing us, God didn't do it. And if you force people to believe, and if you double down on the idea that these things were of God, you will break us. If you make me believe that God did this to me, I cannot be here anymore. Because why would I stay with a God who thinks this of me? You have to tell people that the things that hurt them and harm them, that God did not do it to them. If you damage people's relationship with God, you break them, and you cannot put them back together again. The minute someone believes that God is the reason that they are not whole, they are finished. And we, as a body of Christ, have the ability to make sure that no person ever believes that. And I cannot stress that enough. I watch people who say to people, it's God's timing. We can't change God's timing. If you want me to believe that God wanted me to suffer from 1852 to 1978, I cannot be here. Do not put that on my Father. Don't do that to me. Because if you do that to me, you will break me. I am here because I know that anything that any leader has said about me, God does not think that of me. And people want people to know that. And we cannot know that unless it is heard from the same places that said the things that are breaking people. That's it. We belong to a church where they said nigger from the pulpit. then why don't we belong to a church where they say we shouldn't have said that?